right, 6 o'clock, we'll call this meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Cook is absent. Mrs. Thompson?
Present.
Mrs. McHugh?
Present.
Mrs. Bobbsey?
Present.
Mrs. Rosendahl? Present. Mrs. Druick is absent. Mr. Bishop? Absent. Ms. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Truder?
Present.
And Mr. Long?
Just so board members know, we are missing a few board members. Ms. Druick had a death in her family, and Mr. Cook has a mother in the hospital and a brother-in-law on life support. So they are both absent tonight taking care of their families. So adoption, motion for adoption from the agenda.
Yes, we have several amendments.
Okay,
Under personnel, we could add resignations, Pete Fox, JV head football coach, and George Dixon, maintenance technician. And additional assignment, Adam Walsh, varsity baseball coach. And under action items, if we could add item E, elementary learning expansion.
alrighty. So we need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I move to adopt the amended agenda for November 19th, 2024 as presented.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. McHugh, supported by Mrs. Bobbsey, to approve the amended agenda for November 19th, 2024 as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Under the consent agenda, you're approving the minutes from the regular meeting of October 28, 2024 as presented. You're also approving the general fund bills in the amount of $269,277.41. AP payroll checks in the amount of $7,164.99. A total of $276,442.40, with checks numbered 70,000 through 70066 and ACH transfers in the amount of $261,604.34 for a total of $538,046.74, with checks number 69943 voided and no sinking fund bills and no additional bills. Under personnel, the resignation of Pete Fox, JV head football coach, George Dixon, maintenance director. Additional assignments, Adam Walsh, varsity baseball. Under action items, elementary learning expansion. I
Can you
move-
restate the maintenance
George.
technician? Not
Maintenance
director?
technician. Did I say director?
Yes.
Oh, sorry,
That's okay.
technician. I move to approve the items under the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Bobbsey, supported by Mrs. McHugh, to approve the items under consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. A motion carried. Student of the month.
I don't see the elementary student of the month, so maybe we'll let Mr. Zakowski go first. In case
That would
they
be
come
fine.
in late.
I have Miss Guns joining us today. She's going to present the junior high and senior high. Is Felicia, right? Felicia, there you go. I was looking all over for you. All right, I'll hand it off for our junior high. We have Felicia French.
I chose Felicia for our student of the month. She has a positive attitude in my class and in a lot of other teachers' classes. She's always respectful. She shows great self-control. She's an amazing example to her peers in both social studies, and she was an exploratory, so that's when I wrote this. She's always willing to help other people out. She's prepared for class, and Mrs. Sanborn also speaks highly about Felicia being conscientious about her writing in class. And I know it's early, but I can already tell that Felicia is going to do amazing things this year and in her future.
We'll start right here, please. And we also have for our senior high, Alan Doherty.
Mrs. Dana nominated AJ. She said that AJ is one of our outstanding seniors. He has a wonderful work ethic and gives each assignment his full attention. He's also quick to help others with any task, especially those related to creativity. He is an amazing artist, and just last week he helped create the Patriotic Veterans Day decorations. What she admires most about AJ is his quiet strength. This has been a very challenging year, but he still finds a way to bring a kind smile for all. AJ, you have a bright future, and we look forward to seeing what lies ahead for you.
Okay, the elementary student of the month was Juliana Zambo, and I do not see her. She was nominated by Mr. Chiplak, who wrote, "Juliana works hard on a daily basis. She has exceptional work ethic and is dedicated to understanding what we are working on in class. Juliana is also a role model throughout the building. Whether she is going above and beyond with her safety patrol job or just helping a friend in need, she always does an awesome job."
Each year, our art teachers, Greta Long and this year Sarah Hewlett, participate in a peace poster contest put on by the Memphis Lions Club. And so tonight we are awarding the top 3 prizes along with a cash prize to the fine artwork by 3 of our students. Should we start with 3rd place? 3rd place is sick at home and will not be here. And the really cool thing about it is that my granddaughter. So Lena Thompson won it, but she's not $50. 2nd place is, put my glasses on, Olivia McSwain. And this is her winning toaster. This year's contest was Peace Without Limits. And our 1st place winner, and we do not have the winning poster because it went to the next round of district contest. And go ahead and announce.
Lydia Worthing.
She did a great job?
Yes.
What was that? All right, so you will have it. And then how that worked was, how many? 3 different grade levels participated this year. And they selected the top 15 between Miss Hewlett and herself. And then they went to a Lions Club meeting, and the Lions Club members voted on them. And they picked you as the top
And it goes
one.
on to Lansing.
So it goes on, so it went on Friday. I don't know if yours went any further, but don't spend your money all in one place.
Yes.
You'll have to pull one out.
Yes, we'll get
I'll
it.
take this. award recognition and celebration. Anything tonight?
I have to say that the craft show was just a huge, everybody working together, and it was just astounding.
It's astounding.
And
Best
they
one I've
said
seen
over
here
1,000
ever.
people were there. So, I mean, it was for our music boosters to get that together, and just to help our band out, and just something just to bring the community and all kinds of, I think it's just got,
Terry White, I think it was, the organizer
they
of
did a
it.
great job.
It was impressive. Best one I've ever seen.
I did have it Friday night, and the halls were full, the cafeteria, the gym, I mean, it was
It
packed.
was the full gym,
Just
full
with the setup.
cafeteria,
And
center
multiple
hall,
hallways.
Yes.
band hall, and all of the 6th, 7th grade people.
How many did it go?
A lot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there was I think it was 105 tables. You know, so it's like, you kind of,
Celebrations to them was a great job.
Yeah, and it's for bands, it's one of their biggest fundraisers.
it is, and it's wonderful to have that, yes.
All right, Be the Difference Awards.
I love this. And we have several, because I just couldn't choose. We have so many people today to celebrate, and for different reasons. So, his first celebration, and I'm so glad you brought your family, is to honor someone. I don't want to miss, I'm not being, I don't want to, I took a lot of time writing it, and I want to make sure you hear all the wonderful things about you. Is to honor someone whose impact has been the buzz of the school. You exemplify what it means to be a difference maker. Mrs. Ryan is more than a second grade teacher. She is a builder of memories, a cultivator of curiosity, and an unwavering champion for your students. You're gonna make me tear up. Okay. Mrs. Ryan's classroom, learning is not just a check the box off of lesson plans to get through the day in the curriculum. It is an all-encompassing journey. She nurtures creativity, patience, care, and she ensures that every single student is valued, seen, and confident in their journey. Additionally, she hosts incredible arrays of enrichment activities, which also create expanded opportunities for her students and others to grow, dream, and experience things that they'll never forget, such as Grand Friends Day, where our students generationally got to laugh with their special seniors and share stories and do crafts, and it was just lovely. She's also teaching them the joy of baking and how delightful that experience can be when you're sharing that with friends. Whew. Every activity you do is infused with intention and heart. And for that, I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you. Do you have any people you would like to introduce?
My mom, my brother, my dad, he was our second grade teacher.
I saw that.
And a leftover extra large, and my papa.
Thank you for coming. We are very grateful. And then Tiffany's going to get a picture, but I have one more so everybody gets divided attention. Undivided. That was rude. This next group, I'm calling them, they're part of our afternoon custodial group. And it is my honor to shine a light on this group. I also don't want to miss anything, so just bear with me. You have proven to be a strong backbone to our district. Barb Walsh, Kim Schaefer, Alyssa Tennant, Jessica Dixon, and Kathy Schaefer, you have recently earned the fitting title of Unsung Heroes throughout our district. And for that, I am beyond grateful for you. You face challenges head-on, often unnoticed, sometimes even at your own personal risk. You make sure our schools are operational. Your work goes way beyond what typical eyes can see. It is done out of an act of dedication, pride, and care. You tackle tasks that few of us pause to think about, They just seem to magically get done. And you do so with grace and patience. Your contributions don't end there. This is the reason why I've selected you. All the other things is really great, but this is the main reason. You are stewards of our safety. You are followers of our policy. You are protectors of our facilities. And most importantly, you are an integral part of our school community. We acknowledge you for your unwavering dedication and selflessness. Thank you very much. And we have to get your pictures. Oh, goodness.
Sarah, they've been doing it for several years too.
Yes, they
You
have.
guys probably have a combined, I'm not really sure, but Kim, how many years?
9,
Barb, how many years?
10.
The rest of you are right around that 7 to 8, right? Nice job.
Susan, will you get their picture, or Jessica?
Yep.
But also Tiffany, and maybe with their families?
Yep. You got it.
They're being, you should be. Okay, okay, I would like to.
All right, so we can have the audit, Karen Sheffield. Welcome.
It's good. I'll dance on whatever.
Okay. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me here tonight. You all should have in the packets, one being your financial statements, one is a letter, one is your single audit, it will say federal awards on it, and then just the presentation packet kind of in front, hopefully on top of all of that. I'm going to kind of go through it a little bit briefly, as your reports are pretty large and lots of information in them. I'm going to start with your financial statements. The first part of those statements is the independent auditor's report. This really is the only part of the report that is UH-wise. Your statements are opinion, and you do have an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion that has to be added that we strive for each year. The next part of that report, on pages 5 through 11, is the management's discussion and analysis. This is management's narrative really to help readers understand the financial statements a little bit better. It does go through some summarized financial information as well as give some things that we can look forward to in the district in the coming year. The next part is basic financial statements. That includes financial statements, so looking at the district as your company, as well as your fund financial statements, which you guys will typically see, as well as the notes to your financial statements. So I'm going to go through some financial information for you with really the district financial statements and the statement of net position. So looking at the total assets, you guys $18,281,296. You can see the breakout there of your current assets, some capital assets, and this year actually had a little bit of a net OPEB asset as well. Your deferred outflows of resources total $5,863,076, and then your liabilities at the end of June were $23,879,273, with the largest portion of that being your net pension liability of over $15.5 million. Your deferred inflows of resources at the end of June were $5,119,502, leaving your net position at a deficit of $4,854,403. This is not uncommon for schools including all your pension liabilities and things, and some of those things you can't quite pay off yet. The next page there, you can see your general fund. We'll go through that one in a bit more detail. For your balance sheet, at the end of June, assets were at $2,951,750. Liabilities were at $1,278,175, leaving you with a fund balance of $1,673,575. Looking at your activity of the year, revenue came in at $11,060,349. Your total expenditures were $11,346,660, and some other financing sources were at $139,656, giving you a change in your fund balance, a little bit of a decrease of $146,655. Looking at your fund balance at that $1.6 million, that is broken out into a couple different pots, if you will. One being non-spendable with some prepaids and advances to other funds of $178,633. There's some committed fund balance of $258,484 for your sick liability that's being set aside, and then some assigned of $157,704 being for your 24-25 budget. The remaining $1,078,754 is unassigned and can be used for your general purposes. And then really looking at your fund balance as a whole, really as a percentage of your expenditures this last year, you're at about 14.7% that you have in your fund balance at the end of the year. The next part of the packet anyway is looking at your special revenue funds. That includes your food service and your student activity funds. As you can see, that 2024 column, you can see your total revenue and expenditures for the year for each of those funds. The food service fund actually decreased this year about $45,789, and your student activities fund balance decreased $23,164. Then looking at your debt service fund, that increased this year $73,627, and then your capital projects fund, you can see your revenues and expenditures there, that increased $212,679. That's a really broad overview of your statements. There's a couple other things that are a part of the reporting package. There's a report on internal control, which is included within your single audit, as well as the results of your single audit are in there as well. There's no findings, no issues, everything is clean. As well as an audit communication letter is attached as well, which is a required communication with the board. In the presentation packet, you can see we put in here a couple of different graphs, just looking at your revenues, so you can see a little bit of some comparison of what makes up your revenues, with the majority, as you know, coming from state revenues. About 75% of your revenues came from the state this year. The next page is really a pie graph, really looking at your expenditures for your general fund. And where your revenues are essentially being spent in your expenditures, with the majority, of course, being for your instructional purposes. And then on the following page 6, really just looks at your revenues and expenditures for your general fund, and really kind of where they have lined up for the last 5 years. For your revenues and expenditures. This year they're just under 11.4 million, which is pretty even with where they were last year as well. Any questions? I know it's a lot. We did go through this audit data and see after an hour or two in great detail, and went through everything. And I do want to thank you guys for having everything ready for us. You do a really good job pulling stuff together. It is a lot of work to pull it all together for us and to answer all our questions and pull things for us that we want to see more detail. So I want to thank you guys and your teams for getting us everything that we asked for. So.
Thank you. Any questions for her?
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thanks, Carrie. We do need a motion to approve the audit report.
I move to approve the audit report for 2023-2024 as presented by Karen Shafiq of UHY LLP CPA.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Motion by Ms. Rosenau, support by Ms. Bebstein to approve the audit report for 23-24 as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Reports.
Okay. One thing that's not included in my report is that a few seniors came to me this morning, or actually this afternoon at noon, and they are working for that Strive for Safer Drive. And this year the theme is vulnerable road users. And so, Nancy will be happy to hear, they have requested to put on a bike rodeo this year.
Very cool.
So we have a group of about, I think they said there's between 20 and 30 of them who are part of the program, and we're going to work closely together to have a bike rodeo. Instead of closing all the roads, it sounds like we're going to work to do it between the both campuses and maybe just close up Boardman in that spot where they cross. But we're working on all the details, and it was very exciting to see a group of my former students come through and talk about how much they enjoyed that and want to bring it back. So we'll be working together. Once I said I had to talk to Ms. Blair, make sure it's okay, which of course she was happy about it. And so we'll start working together to bring that to our fourth graders still in early April. And they're going to be putting on the whole thing and doing the work. Obviously, I'll be there with them every step of the way to help. But it's very exciting to see these senior leaders come and help with the bike rodeo. So
The kids do love that bike rodeo.
Yeah,
they do.
They sure
How many
do.
years has it been since we've had it?
I think it's stopped. That's a good question. Maybe right before COVID, I think it stopped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it be a bike raffle? That was
Yeah,
always a hit.
yeah, so if they get money, they get funds for this program, and they want to use some of that. Also, they had talked about if there's students without bikes, they're going to do some things to get bikes if there's any students that don't have them, so that they can participate, and they wanted to do the helmet, like get the
Yeah.
bikes and helmets too, and they want to do an assembly, and so we're in the very early stages. They just came to me today at noon, so it's all new and all.
And the city is not willing to close down at least some of the back roads for a
Well,
while?
I think it was pretty early in the year, so they were a little hesitant to go out on all the dirt roads because they have to have it done by early April because they have to have it submitted by mid-April. So they really wanted to use have it on paved roads, so we just had talked about using the campus and kind of going around and closing off our campus.
Ice is fun, come on.
I know, that's why I said, like, it's gonna be really cold in early April. I think they said April 2nd, so we're gonna keep a close eye on the weather, and maybe we'll be bike rodeoing in snowsuits. We'll see how it goes.
That's awesome.
I included some information about the Harvest Hustle. It was fabulous this year. We had more prizes than ever. We raised just over $11,000. We're very grateful to the local businesses that help us support that so that we can fund that busing and keep costs down for our field trips. Ms. Kuhn did a beautiful job this year with the Veterans Day Honors Walk. We had 51 participants, including Mr. Leslie, who played the bagpipes. I believe both the Channel 6 and our video as well. We had an anti-bullying Quest for Kindness presentation. It was great. The kids loved it. The older kids seem to not love it as much, so we're going to look for something else. Maybe 5 or 6 years ago now, we brought in basketball anti-bullying presentation that the kids love, so I don't know that any kids who are there currently have seen it, so we're going to look into bringing that in for our December Super Happy Fun Day, as long as he's available. We had to switch our provider for our REEF fundraiser. The lady who's done it for the past years is no longer able to do that, so we found another company that some other districts use. They have a variety of things. Some people are a little disappointed that there's no roping, but Centennial Pines does sell roping, we confirmed. But there's a lot of other plants and things and decorations that can be used. So we're getting some good feedback on that. The best part of it is they track all the sales for us. So it takes a lot of stress off of the office staff to put all that together. So they keep a track of it and then just cut us a check and we deposit each into the kids' account. So students earn money off of each sale they make, and it was pretty comparable to what they were making off of the previous resale. And the price were pretty similar too. I was afraid we wouldn't find something with prices so similar, but we did. So students will go to camp a week later this year than they have been going previously, so it's closer to the date that we had been going before. And again, we're going to do those 2 full-day camp experiences. I've been working closely with staff trying to get our formal observations underway for November. It'll probably sneak into December a little bit, but we've seen some great explicit instruction. It's been great to see the bookworms across the levels. It's beautiful. everybody's really excited. We're seeing some great things. I included some information about Laura Chambliss. The staff is finishing up next week with that fact fluency training, and she continues to come in to work with our third grade teachers for math instruction. And those teachers are also going to that new teacher academy for math expressions as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
That's good. Let me stop for 1 second. Student reps, I am so sorry. You were before Mrs. Finkel. I missed you. So,
Sorry.
would you guys like to go?
Yeah, I'll go first. We've been focusing pretty heavy on student body supporting at the sports events and mainly the basketball in the gym, also events like that. And we've been putting together, and I'm going to pass this around, probably get everybody a good look at it. We have this in front of the office for everybody to look at, along with a QR code to our media. And we're trying to do poster building stations where it's completely free for all student body that shows up to the events, and to build a poster, appropriately, of course. To, show their school spirit, show their pride, wave their colors. I think that'd be super cool. We're also starting to do halftime performances at the basketball games, both boys and girls. We're calling it Pop a Shot, and everybody who gives $1 can come down and shoot a free throw for a free pop. And that sounds pretty easy to shoot a free throw, but it ends up going completely positive if we had, 30 people go out there and shoot a free throw, 20 people go out there and shoot a free throw. So I think that's a great idea. We're also doing vouchers for slushies and also cans of pop for the first 24 students to show up at the games. But it's required they have to stay till halftime. So nobody can just show up, grab their slushie, and take off.
Can I interject? Mrs. Phillips told me today she actually made a change. She's not giving vouchers, she's actually giving the slushie.
Okay.
Because they want the slushie in hand. They
Yes.
don't want the voucher. So I thought
Like
that
the
was-
next day, or she just?
No, like the day up. She's like,
Actually-
I'm gonna be standing there at the door.
How does she know how many?
With
She
the
just
slushie.
I think it's 24, and if you're not there by 24, you're not getting one. So I think it's to get people there, get people through the door.
That's a brilliant idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Once they're there, they're there.
But the best one on there is taco night.
Yes,
Yeah.
taco night. So we're gonna get just the bundles of Taco Bell tacos, the 12 packs, 24 packs, whatever they do. And again, the first 20, is it 24 or 25 that it says on there? I think it's 24.
24, I think.
The first 24 people through the door get their taco, which I think is a great appeal, because I'm trying to think back to when I'd show up at these games when I wasn't playing, and if somebody at the door was telling me if I was the first 24 people in to get a taco, I'm going to be the first guy there.
Right.
So I love these ideas. I love that Students Council is helping us work through this, and we're actually getting donations because the Student Board and Student Council came up with the poster building station, but I was kind of willing to spearhead that. But she's donating money for that, which is super cool. So it's going to go super smoothly, and I can't wait to see it.
Great idea.
Make sure you get sauce
so
on the
good.
packets. too.
Will too. Make sure the place
I didn't hear. Sauce packets. Oh, they like that, right?
Are you going to be one of the 24, Mrs. Donnelly?
Well, what I call it.
You could just dress up as a student.
They'd be taller than me.
She just called you young, I think.
Did you call me young?
Very good. Thank you. Anything else?
Go ahead, Steve.
So we've also been working on SAT prep group for like 10th and 11th graders. And this week I sent out a group text to a bunch of them. And so far I'm at about 15 people who are interested in it. So I was very happy to see that because I was a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, put it out there. But it's gonna be before school, and then it's gonna start up right after Thanksgiving break ends. And I know Miss I and Mr. Morrow is helping us out with it.
That's wonderful.
And then just last week, me and Izzy talked to Miss Nicholson about the lunch menu because we've realized between last year and this year there's been like some changes. So we just wanted to see like what if there was, because there was a lot of kids complaining, so we wanted just to settle it and just make sure we get it. And so she's gonna bring in more food options that she thinks kids will like, and then we're gonna send out a survey of kids of things that the students want to see more. And then also she wants us to send out things of what they had in the past. So they've had I think they have a pot pie. And she's like, I don't know if they liked it or not, so I don't know if I should bring it back. So we're just gonna put it in there and see how much students liked it.
Well, last year there was such a big hit. What, so like, are kids sick of? Last year's
there
edition?
was, we did the,
Was it parfait? I remember the parfait.
yeah, the parfaits, and they said there's like not many of them.
Oh.
So like the kids that like, so we were just talking about like maybe she's gonna put some aside for the late bus
That makes
kids.
sense.
Because she said a lot of it's like the students that are getting dropped off are getting to them first, so then the bus kids don't get them.
I mean, it's
So-
The parfaits are huge. Maybe we need to have a second breakfast of parfaits only.
Yeah.
If I could chime in here, I'm pretty sure too, a lot of this stuff that happens is completely out of the lunch ladies' means. You know,
Yeah.
they'll show up earlier to get this stuff done.
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure a big part of it was that towards the end of the year, a lot of kids weren't coming in and getting these things, so the lunch ladies were maybe kind of backing away from it.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, kids want them again, so.
Because they got a long road.
You know, it's so hard on those lunch ladies to have those kids, you know, the first couple of weeks come in, hands are grabbing at these parfaits, and then, you know, they kind of like putter out a little bit. But I think it's starting to pick back up again, and it would be big for, you know, kids to continue, you know, having those hands reaching and every single day being there grabbing those. So somehow, I think probably our media team that we have, we could advertise these breakfasts and stuff like that. I think that'd be smart.
Yeah, we
That'd be
told her to,
helpful
like,
the lunch ladies.
Like some of like the lunches, she like explained too much, and we're like, for the students, you can't explain so much because then it makes them not want to eat it. So like I think one of them was like it was like a meatball, and I had like stuff in it, and she like put it in there. And we're like, you can just put like meatball and just leave it at that. She's like, that's a good idea. So.
Would it do any good to have like Parfait Tuesday so that they make more that one day, but they don't have to, if
That's a good
they're
idea.
We could write that
left
down
over,
and
they could
ask
have
her.
it Wednesday morning, you know, or something like that.
Yeah, we could ask them. And then also we actually just recently we got our Instagram account going back over again. I've been posting more stuff for like the volleyball that was last week. I was going on there and doing that. And then I will be posting anything ranging from scores from the basketball games, the themes, student section themes, which I just got handed today. And then just like different things, like I'll be posting the different games that we have that day so they know. So
What's the Instagram account called? Or like,
it's Memphis Student Life. It's
posted.
Memphis_Student Life. There's actually a little paper that's posted that's all around the school.
fantastic. You guys are.
Does it have a barcode or
It's a
something?
little QR
Yeah, it's a little
code.
QR code that you just scan in and then just
It's
goes.
called the QR.
I think you guys requested me to follow, and I'm like, I don't know who this is, I can't follow.
I have seen that too.
I don't even know how to follow. I don't know how to use it.
For starters.
Can you-
I'm a Facebook user.
Can you make an instructional video for people?
Next meeting, I'll put it together.
Have you heard anything about the dill pickle chicken sandwich from the students?
No. The day that we had the meeting with her, they were making it. So we didn't hear anything about it. So, and I think it was on Friday they had it, Thursday.
Please
And then
explain.
they didn't.
Did you think
So-
it was good?
I was gonna say, Zach Kowski stands
It's just a flavored dill pickle.
It's a variant of the chicken sandwiches that we have, and I do know that a group of the guys that I hang out with love those dill pickle sandwiches, so I'm sure that they were gone instantly.
So it's a chicken sandwich that's flavored like a dill pickle, like dill flavored chicken sandwich? Oh, okay.
I just heard a lot of students liking it.
Also, yeah.
I'm gonna ask you.
More than most.
Yeah, because that's what she wants. She's like, I don't get enough feedback from people.
Okay.
Because then they're
Oh, that's
actually, she's looking at, because we wanted to do, I don't know if you were here, but a few years ago they brought in like they were like Whoppers kind of? Impossible Whoppers.
Impossible burgers.
Yeah, and she's
yeah.
gonna bring those back and see how much she can get, and because we said they were a big hit. And then she's like, why didn't get enough people that liked them, but we just think that they just.
Can you guys ever order in advance, or does she have to guess? Like, is there something?
There's a little bit of a disconnect too. Like, she'll bring in this food and have survey sheets. Like, do you like it? Yes or no? Fill out the sheet. We need the feedback,
She's
and
just
they
won't
don't.
send them back.
Maybe about a QR code.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do, yeah.
Or a survey monkey, and then we
Yeah.
can just, you know.
Put a QR code in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
So
There
they
you
can
go.
have their phones on them at lunch.
Because she just went to, actually the last, because we met with her last weekend, and the week before she went to a conference for food. So like it was like perfect that like we just, and we tried like different foods, like, so she got definitely good input, and then, so we're excited to see what's
I love
gonna bring
it.
back.
I think
so.
you guys are doing great things. That's awesome.
Me too.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. You're doing an amazing job of representing your students. Thank you.
On Tuesday, October 29th, the DeVos family joined myself and Officer Nowicki, and we welcomed Leon Olick. He's a foreign exchange student from Poland. In honor of his arrival, we proudly raised the Polish flag to celebrate his presence in our community. It was fantastic. On October 30th, all of the 10th and 11th grade students completed the PSAT and MSQT. The score reports have been released, and students are able to see them through their College Board accounts. With these scores, we're able to look at the strengths and areas for improvement to prepare for the SAT, and we've encouraged all students to continue to review them, target the key area for the growth, and take advantage of the resources that is provided for that for future testing. After Thanksgiving break, like Izzy was saying, Mr. Morrow and Ms. Isotalo, they're going to offer weekly PSAT and SAT prep classes before school. All interested students are encouraged to attend and take advantage of this opportunity. MSTEP and SAT, PSAT prep resources have been ordered, and once they arrive, all core teachers will incorporate a daily question into their lessons, guiding students through the problem and to enhance their understanding and readiness for the future state assessments. We have made changes to our STING. STING class rosters were reconfigured based on the data from the NWA Math Growth Assessment. Students are now engaging in small group interventions by their STING teacher, tailored to their individual needs, as well as extensions to a new standard. And then on November 11th, we hosted our first Veterans Day luncheon over at the senior high school cafeteria. Veterans connected with our junior high and high school students. They joined them for lunch, enjoyed a band performance, and were treated to a special appearance by Brian Leslie, the veteran bagpiper, which was fantastic. I've included some highlights for your review, and I think it went really well, and I'm going to continue it for next year, and I'm hoping to see more veterans join us.
Awesome.
That's great. The cute picture of Josh and Ellen here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was itching to go hunting, though.
It's a busy day.
Yeah.
It was very nice that worked out, like correlated with the elementary, so that he could, having kids in both buildings and stuff like that, he could go to elementary, do the Veteran Day ceremony with them, and then come over here, so.
A lot of
that,
families did the same thing.
yeah,
so
that worked out very well.
Fall sports are officially over. I think we have one more banquet that still needs to be held, but we concluded with varsity volleyball's trip to the district finals, and they haven't been there in a while from what I hear. Winter sports are in full swing, and we held a winter sports parent meeting to review everything together. I had some good feedback that it was nice for all parents to hear the same message across the board and not different coaches, saying this is what eligibility is. And then they had their meetings. We began the use of Sports U communication system app. We're phasing it in, so not all teams are fully using it, but they will be by next fall. Arbiter is now fully linked to our website, so when games are put in and scheduled with officials, it will automatically update on the website calendars, so it doesn't have to be 3 or 4 people changing them by hand, so it will fully integrate. And then on the website now under athletics, above the calendar is a link, what's called Arbiter Live. Arbiter Live will take you right to the Arbiter site, which is immediate changes, but it also lists the bus times, and you can get rosters and scores for all of the teams that you might want to follow. So that's been updated. Thanks to Kevin, Officer Kevin, we got 5 new athletic medical kits for our teams to travel with. I found out that teams were buying their own medical kits and not all teams had them. So now all of our teams have a medical kit to travel with to away games, and we have one big one here on site for home games. The game manager admin has been sent out to all staff, and we worked out the correct hourly to correspond with games such as having 3 games in one night, and the pay for that for the time commitment. Next step will be updating the athletics webpage on the website for new and improved documents. We met with a rep for Huddle. Currently our girls basketball uses Huddle and boys football, but none of the other teams do. So we met with the rep on how we can get a school discount and if we can phase it in. If you don't know, Huddle is a filming system
but it will also do the stats for you, and it can do all the sports. And it's also great for anybody that's looking to go to college. It makes highlight videos for the players, and they don't have to sit there and make their own videos. So if there's any kids looking to go. So we met with them, we got some price sheets, and we're talking with all the coaches on how we can make it happen.
Is that something where, like, if I can't go to a game, I can go to Huddle and watch the game live, or
So,
no?
yes.
Is that more of an internal?
Yes, so we have the NFHS right now, but from what I hear, the camera, like if the kids are playing football in the end zone, it will follow the ball and the activity if the play is down on the field for football, so it's not the best resource, but we can get Huddle to link so out-of-town grandparents and parents and people can watch the games through the Huddle app. So we're looking into that a little bit more. With the help of baseball and softball coaches, we're beginning to formulate plans for launching of the junior high softball and baseball programs. Worked with student council on the student section, and they had some great ideas, and I shared some things that have worked well at other places. So we're excited about that. And then I just got back from all the athletic director meetings on Monday in Frankenmuth. In terms of discipline, we have a bunch of students that are working on a check-in, check-out form to focus on their individual behavior. We have the sting board going with Google Forms to capture the information better and to have data for our behavior a little bit more. We're seeing a noticeable difference in student responsibility during breakfast and lunchroom. Sending some daily emails home just to remind parents that this is what we're seeing, and if you could have conversations. Focus for junior high has been acknowledging behavior, apologizing, and then making adjustments to their behavior according to the rules of conduct. And teachers are communicating daily with parents to help with making that contact further. And the high school focus has been on tackling tardies and skipping, cell phones, and Chromebook misuse, and of course exiting the building from appropriate doors. So that's been kind of the focus over the last month.
Alan?
Yeah, I will be presenting A1 budgets in the new business section, but one thing I like to do after the audit is do a review and a comparison from our final A3 budget to our final audited numbers, and kind of just fill you guys in and make sure that there was nothing major that was overlooked and not brought to your attention from our A3 budget to our final audited figures. So upon review, I'm happy to say that we were pretty close in our budget to our final actual numbers. Our A3 budget that was approved in June projected a loss of $131,000, and we finished at $146,000, so that's a net change of about $15,000, which on a $11.5 million budget is less than 0.25% change. So I was pretty happy with that. Our final fund balance is 14.75, and one of the things I'll discuss when I discuss A1 budgets is we are right on track. We're actually a little bit ahead of track where we projected with our 5-year budget when we discussed back in June. So that's a good thing. And then in regards to the single audit, that I know she didn't present it, the single audit is required when the school receives more than $750,000 of federal aid, and over the last few years we have been receiving more than $750,000 of federal aid due to the ESSER and COVID funding. I'm happy to say that they've increased that limit next year to $1 million, and this year we were right just above the threshold which required it, and next year where some federal funding is dropping off that we're not going to have next year in the current year, plus with the $1 million threshold for the 750, I do not anticipate that we will need the single audit. So that will be a substantial savings in time, in terms of time and in terms of money that won't be required. So unless Sarah works some magic and finds a humongous federal grant, which is not out of the realm, but that's the projection right now, is that we will not be required for a single audit next year. And then if you guys had any questions regarding the audit or anything, I'll address them at this time. Otherwise,
Adam, I just had one. Is it still the same school administration as your principals and your superintendent in general, as people in central office, and Brian and you? And
you got it.
Okay.
Yep.
And then think that was the only one. Thank you.
And there was quite an increase on our spending in instruction. You know, we went from 52% to 56% in that, so it's like, you know, I mean, it's, you know, we really are focused on the kids, and so it's
Yeah.
just, you know,
Yeah,
it's
it's-
good to see.
Yep, I'm happy to say that, I mean, when we met as finance committee and when Sarah and I looked at the numbers, we knew that making an investment in teaching staff and in staff in general is warranted, and I'm happy to say that we're able to support it, and looking forward through our 5-year, we're kind of right on track where we thought we would be.
That's awesome.
Adam and I actually, do you mind if I share a story about when I was hired in '99?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
We actually compared like starting wages from when I was hired in '99 to 2021.
Yeah.
It was only a $7,000 difference between step one from '99 to step one of '22.
Well, and it makes sense though, because there was 14 or 15 years of no wage increase in that period?
Well, also that many years, I mean, a lot of years of no right sizing of staff, you know. So anyhow.
That's awesome. Great, great job. Any other questions, Rob? All of the reports. People over here. Okay, public comment?
Yes, I have one, Beth Hughes.
Hey, Beth. And Beth has requested that her presentation is a little bit over the 3 minutes. She was warned or told that she cannot use any names, and that if she does, then her presentation would stop because there is complaint procedures in the handbook if it's a complaint against any staff. So, all right, so there you go, Beth.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Beth Hughes. I reside at 7987 Main Street here in Memphis. My son is an 8th grader at the junior high school. My son was suspended last month and kicked off the football team after he made a bad decision to enter the elementary building with 3 other students during a JV football game on October 10th. I'm here tonight because I have solid reason to believe his punishment was given with the wrong intent. I would like to explain why I feel this way by laying out a timeline of the events and communication between your administrators and I. On October 10th, I received a phone call from one of your administrators informing me that my son entered the elementary school while attending the JV football game, and he would be suspended until further notice while the school and police investigate, and he will also be removed. This is when I was told he would be removed from the football team. I then received a phone call from the responding police officer informing me of what took place and stated that the school is planning and pressing charges. They said your administrator that I had reported to the elementary building instantly stated they wanted to press charges and handed the officer a piece of paper that included the names of all 4 boys and also their parent information listed. On the 14th, the following Monday, I was contacted by the administrators advising me that the decision-making board made a final decision on the length of suspension. The suspension would be for a total of 7 days. I was reminded that the police were involved and they'd be contacting us for a statement from our son. We were contacted by the police officer requesting the statement, and we declined by the advisement of our lawyer. We were told we were not permitted to watch the camera footage because other students were involved, and I would need to submit a FOIA request and attempt to see the footage. I was provided bylaw information via email explaining how to FOIA, and it included bylaw 5309K highlighted for me, disclosure of education records in response to subpoena court order. I carefully took notes of the information about my son's punishment while on the phone with your administrator. I specifically questioned who was on this decision-making board that they had kept referencing, and I was told of 3 people involved. I expressed that one of the members is not my son's administrator and they should not be involved with my son's disciplinary action. The following day, the police officer contacted us again, stating that he misspoke the day prior and the school only wants a report filed, but will not be forwarded to the prosecutor, like he had originally stated. Although we were thankful for no charges, we never believed the officer misspoke. I had plenty of conversations with key people prior to this one that led me to believe the school was pressing charges, which is why we had contacted a lawyer. Once we learned the charges were not being pursued, we advised our lawyer and informed him that we would keep him updated if needed, but we wouldn't be needing him and we were ready to move forward. And 2 days later, the administrator that I felt had no business being involved in deciding my son's punishment had found reason to call my son's father from their personal phone at 8:00 p.m. at night. He rejected the call, and then I personally sent them a message saying not to call us from the personal phone. The following morning, I followed up with the other 2 people on the decision-making board and sent them an email and followed them up on this phone call. A copy of that thread is part of what I gave you. And at this time, I'm asking the board to keep in mind that all prior conversation I had in regards to my son's punishment was verbal. We served his referral, the FOIA info, and some clarification on homework by email. But everything else was explained to me over the phone while I took my notes. But this email included an explanation for the phone call the night before and also some fine detail that conflicted what I was told before, including new accusations that were not included on my son's referral. I was now being told that this individual who made the phone call was not on the board, there was never even was a decision-making board, and the punishment was solely their own. The only position this person had during the investigation was to take notes while others reviewed the footage. And the third person I was originally told that was on this decision-making board now wasn't involved at all. Apparently, I made all of this part up while taking my notes. In regards to the phone call, they said the administrator who called I spoke to somebody that had spoke to my son's father the night before at a local establishment and claimed that they, while speaking to my son's father, that he had stated that we believe this was a personal attack. We knew who specifically was pushing for charges, and we believed our son did nothing wrong. I'm not going to elaborate on these claims, but I will say this behavior was unacceptable and unprofessional. For no reason at any time should this individual be contacting us, especially about hearsay at 8 p.m. at night. We have no idea what their ultimate goal was by making this call, but they had no authority to do so, and it certainly wasn't a phone amongst friends. The investigation had already been complete for 3 days prior to this call, and if I am being told that this individual had no part in the investigation and the decision making, then they definitely had zero business or right to discuss any of this with anyone, including us. This person crossed the line and as a professional, and I do not want that to go unnoticed. On October 30th, I was able to submit a FOIA request to watch the camera footage. I received a confirmation receipt right away. The next day, I was given a heads up by phone that my request will be denied, but we were able to view the footage. Only what involved our son, and we cannot record nor obtain. They explained they were not aware that some federal regulations had changed and we were allowed to watch it. That was all we had ever asked for. We viewed the footage on November 11th. I will not disclose what we saw in the footage at this time, as I am not sure I am allowed to do so at a public meeting, and I have already extended my time limit. I will say we did not see our son doing the malicious acts he was punished for. Our son regretfully made a decision to walk into the unlocked doors of the front entrance with the other students, and he walked around. We are not sure if some of these accusations happened after our son left the building, as he did make the decision to leave before the others, and we were unable to view the rest of the footage because our son was not in it. But when I originally received the final decision on the suspension sentence, administration continued to refer to these acts as being done as a group, then would insert my son's name. I expressed that it isn't okay with us to punish my son as a group, especially with no proof, all while my son was denying most of these accusations. But then we watched the footage and confirmed that he was being honest with us. Not only did our son not do the things he was personally accused of, we never saw most of the malicious acts they were claiming. Therefore, if any of these things did happen, we believe we did not see them because our son was no longer in that building, which would have made him no longer part of that group. We feel this entire situation was handled aggressively and regret that the administration didn't consider another form of punishment. We feel they never considered an alternative because in the beginning, they were focused on pursuing charges and encouraging these boys into the criminal system. By the time they retracted the plan to press charges, it was too late because the referral was already complete and submitted. In closing, I want to say we feel this investigation was done with ill intent, and the dishonesty we have experienced through it all only confirms our feelings. Our son may not be the most perfect student, and he recognized how easily this could have been avoided, but he does not deserve to be portrayed as a future criminal in his criminal record. He went into the school for no good reason, but he had no ill intent. We strongly believe that his extreme punishment and discipline referral was done in a way to support the police report and their original plans to pursue the charges. The 7-day suspension has been served, and he lost out on football, which had proved to be doing so good for him academically and personally. A hard lesson was learned, but we don't feel his permanent record should stand as it is. Thank you for hearing me tonight. We are now requesting that the board reviews the information I gave you, consider what I said tonight, and I request that his current referral is expunged and a new one is admitted with minor misconduct, misuse of district property. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, correspondence, true and law notes from October 2024. Anything anybody read in them that was they wanted to bring up? As always, good information.
I didn't see anything that stood out that I felt I wanted to discuss.
Yeah, also an extra.
Okay, on to action items. First one, true policies, July 2024 updates. Yes.
And move to approve the true and July 2024 policy updates for policies listed below as presented.
Support.
Okay, the updates have been given. We have a motion by Ms. Bobbsey, supported by Ms. Crosnow, to approve the true July 24 policy updates for the policies listed below as presented. And the note that this will conclude the July 2024 during policy updates.
Laura, does this only happen, our updates once a year or twice a year?
July.
Just July? Okay.
Because there were so many due to the
Yes.
parent parties, it was so unmanageable to do them all at once. Like typically they would just be that,
Yeah.
but
With Neola, it was usually twice a year.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is just once a year, and it'll be in July.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
I was just questioning number 4209 on the repeat, it's just the one that just kind of, I don't know if it has anything to do with us or it's anything, but it's to reflect the repeal of law that prohibited, and because the law was repealed in that, but does it mean, I mean, I don't know, because it's about abortion referral, and everything, and so.
And I just read an article that the lame duck section is trying to push that through, but this board has voted for the abstinence.
Right, so that would take
Right.
precedence over this.
Unless there is no more selection for a board, which again, it has not been pushed through yet, but I did just read that article that the current, because it's a one-party rule for all three, that they are trying to get that through before they switch.
Okay.
And it was being proposed that is taught as a form of birth control.
Just not.
Yep. Again, for us right now, we're abstinence-based, so we don't even touch on that.
Okay.
But the piece of the legislation that's trying to be pushed through right now spoke of schools still having the option to choose being abstinence-based.
Okay.
So unless that piece of the legislation changes, my recommendation is we stay the course. Mhm. Mhm.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. A1 budget.
All right. So A1 budget, as I had anticipated, looks a little bit better than our preliminary budget. At our preliminary, we were projecting a loss of $157,000, and our A1, we're just about break even at a loss of $25,262. And essentially what goes into the adjustments for our A1 budget, our property taxes are adjusted based on actual property tax values. Our state aid is adjusted to reflect our October student count. Originally, we had projected down 10 students with an increase of $241 per pupil. And after our October student count and after the student count adjustment calculation, we are actually only down 1 student for our student aid calculation, so that's great. And then, as I had discussed previously, our per pupil foundation allowance is actually, there was no increase to it, so the $241 that we had originally budgeted it's a flat rate that remained the same as last year. However, I had mentioned previously that in lieu of doing a per pupil foundation increase, the governor was increasing our MIPSERS reimbursement to ultimately what it will be next year is actually a permanent rate reduction, expense rate reduction for MIPSERS. So we saw a 5.75% increase in our MIPSERS reimbursement funding, which essentially replaces the $241 per pupil. We saw a decrease in our UAAL funding, which is it's another form of the MIPSERS funding. This is a pass-through funding where we see the revenue come in and then it goes right back out to the state. So we saw a pretty drastic reduction. It's the largest reduction in that rate that we've ever seen. It was previously 16.89% and it was reduced to 10.58%. So we also saw a corresponding reduction of expense on the expense side as well. Our at-risk funding was increased a little larger than we had originally projected, and our 31 AA funding, which was the mental health and school safety grant funding, they ended up, I think I'd mentioned this before, they cut that drastically, and that was, again, the money was put into the MIPSERS program rather than mental health, school safety, and per pupil foundation allowance. So ultimately, our revenue stayed about the same when all was said and done with all of those adjustments, and we saw an increase of $15,000. Where we saw the most change was in our expenses. So A1 budget includes all staffing changes, including any retirees from prior year, any new additions, all wage scale increases, our MIPSERS, which is again our retirement system, all of the changes in the MIPSERS rates, the health insurance rates. It includes an increase in our GSRP startup expenses, which we also saw, we got the GSRP startup funding, so we have an offsetting revenue for that. We have an increase in bus leasing expenses as we leased 4 new buses at the beginning of the year. And then again, on the expense side, the main one, the biggest effect was that UAAL expense. It was 16.89%. When I say that, that's 16.89% of every dollar of wage. So across $4.5 million in wages, we saw approximately a 6% expense adjustment or reduction on that. So that was huge. Overall, we're looking, I think, really good at this point. We're still somewhat conservative on our first amended budget. I still anticipate that we're going to see some new revenue line items that come through as the state aid was, we got our first state aid payment as the state's year starts on October 1st. So within this budget amendment, we've only got 2 state aid payments. So there are some categorical line items that have not been finalized and completed, and we've not received information as far as what the funding will be on those. So right now, I'm still showing projections on those, but I do anticipate that we'll likely see small increases on those as well. So once those come out, those will be included in A2. So it's projecting that our revenue will even raise a little bit for our A2 budget. We are projecting at our preliminary budget, we were projecting 13.79% fund balance, and at this point for our A1, we're projecting 15%, which I feel is very healthy considering the wage increases and the rate sizing of our wages to get the county average and staffing and everything else. So as I had mentioned before, our 5-year budget was projecting for 24-25 It was projecting a fund balance of 13.67%. And right now we're projecting towards 15%. So we are ahead of schedule in our 5-year.
Adam, did you receive any notice that they might be putting some of the mental health dollars back in?
I did. I did. It was very, very initial stages, and I don't know how much weight to put into it at this point because it's just kind of chatter coming through the emails. So I've not seen dollar amounts, and I've not seen anything definitive like that.
And they said that if it occurs at all, it'll probably be the second quarter.
Yeah, I'm hoping that something like that comes through. There's been a couple line items that they've come through that said they were going to reinstate some funding that was cut out of the budget, but I don't know if that's going to happen or what that's going to do to other categoricals, if they're going to use some other categoricals and reduce to dedicate more to mental health. I'm not sure.
Would that be just for this year, or would it be?
Yeah, and whenever we talk categoricals, it's always for the current year only. Yeah,
Okay.
those are voted on every year.
Was it a safety mental health dollar that was put together for school safety and mental health? That's the one that they were talking about.
Yeah, that's it, because that 31 AA grant, they cut it so drastically, we ended up seeing about 7% of what we had the prior year. And a lot of people were not happy about that.
Adam, put a number to that, just so they can get like.
So we had about $190,000 last year, and this year we're projecting about $14,000.
Yeah.
On one of the
And that's all
most-
just cut from the state?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On one of the, and like I said, it was reallocated to help, it was reallocated to the MIPSers and to the retirement program because that was so underwater. So they're trying to right-size that as well.
Good. Well, let's hope they do the right thing.
Any questions on the general fund A1 budget? Food service, nothing major here. As we go through the year, I just update based on actual receipts and then project up for the year. So revenue stays almost the same. We were projecting 538, now it's coming 549. Expenditures is slightly higher. We added some wages to kitchen staff, some hours in the elementary building for breakfast to alleviate some pressures that were occurring there. So still we're going to break even, and that's very conservative. Our food service program is doing well right now with the free breakfast and lunch program. So I anticipate that as the year goes, we'll likely get into a situation where I'll work with Laura and make sure that we're investing back into it so we don't end up with any type of surplus.
What was that amount that they can make up to?
As far as
spending it?
With the 2.5 months worth of our expenses. So in this case, we have expenses of $548,000. So we'd be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $130,000.
Is it projected that we'll continue this with the free and reduced, so that is kind of set to continue, right?
It is at this point. It could always change.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but right now, yes, they have set aside funding and have said that will continue to move forward. Yeah, so right now our fund balance is at $60,000, and anything over approximately $130,000 we'll have to make sure that we spend it down. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Do you need a motion to approve the A1 budget?
I move to approve the A1 budget of 24-25 for general fund, food service, and internal accounts and scholarships as presented.
Support.
It's moved by Mrs. McHugh, supported by Ms. Bobbsey to approve the A1 budget for 2024 for general fund, food service, and internal accounts as presented. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Substitute pay increase.
I move to approve substitute teacher pay increase to $135 as the daily rate through 30 consecutive days, with long-term consecutive rates to be 31 to 60 days at $145 per day, and 61 plus days to be $175.48 per day.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Rosnow, supported by Mrs. Bobstein, to approve the substitute pay increases as presented. Any discussion?
Is there any questions about that?
No, I read your
Okay,
recommendation.
okay.
We need substitute teachers. And
We
so
need them,
if
yeah. We are like currently running at 41% unfilled at the junior, senior high.
And a lot of it's because when they go to look
They
at.
can go 5 minutes
When the
that
pool
way.
is,
Yeah.
they're paying more down there, they're paying more,
Right.
yeah.
And trust, I was telling Laura, like, I will 100% be tracking that data, because if this doesn't do anything, we might as well go back to what we were, do you know what I mean? Like, if we're still running at 41% filled.
Now, are we using a service to hire our substitute teachers through? So do we pay the service X amount of dollars per day?
Each district sets their.
Oh,
their-
I see.
Yes, so,
Okay.
and they know, because when they do most of the districts around here, the people can see.
Sure.
So when they're filling, it's all electronic now.
So this is putting us slightly above area.
And it starts immediately?
I would recommend that.
Okay.
And is there a way to get the word out, or you just change the pay rate on the?
Yeah, we can make a Facebook post,
Okay.
and then we can have something on our website. But Laura will send that to ESS,
Okay.
and they'll be able to update
Yeah, we have
that.
a page for an employment page, and it has the directions for subbing,
Yeah.
and it'll say, we'll make it at the top, and then ESS will
Okay.
probably send something out too.
Okay.
I just wonder too, if there's any way, when you're putting it out on the Facebook, as you have college seniors and, you know, like that coming back from other times, I mean, what is it, 60 hours? Is it still? If they have 60 hours towards any degree, they're eligible, is that?
It used to be 90, but now I think they lowered it to 60.
Be able to look at that and be able to pick up a
Right,
few
especially for December grads.
December a little bit. Well, I mean, some schools don't go back till the 20th or the 25th of January, and then they're
Right.
out again in April and
Yeah, that's
May.
true, yeah.
I mean, it would just, they'd still be able to be eligible the rest of this year.
Do you still have contacts with Oakland University, Susan?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we do have a motion in support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, the next one, superintendent evaluation preparation and review is on here, and the only thing that Mr. Cook wanted everybody to be aware of is when Mrs. DeValier hands out her self-eval, if you have any questions on it, to get back to him as soon as possible, so that when he goes over that with her, he will have the questions that he can ask her prior to our meeting where the evaluation would take place.
Which is December.
Which is the December meeting. So that's why that was on there.
First meeting.
I do not believe there's any action to be taken on that. It was just something to
You,
be
and you
told.
guys typically like that 2 weeks before, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, because then we have to.
Then you have to read it,
Yeah, and we give it to Mark,
So that will be at the December 2nd meeting? Okay.
Okay.
which is not that far away.
Nope, so I'll get moving on that.
Oh, goodness.
That's in 2 weeks?
So
Yes.
tomorrow? No, I'm just
Not gonna
teasing.
get
Yes, it is.
I'll mark it down myself.
Well, at least we don't have to worry about the telephone anymore. All right, so we have the elementary learning expansion discussion.
So, I don't know if you guys had a chance to look through some of the things that we've been talking about. And I'm gonna pull it up so I can kind of guide you through that discussion. Get your feedback.
Are you pulling it up from the email you sent us, or the, well, yeah, that's
The
the one with the
attachment.
links, right?
Right, the attachment that you have.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is the expansion, the why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What
So,
It
would
was.
you want me just to resend it to you guys?
No,
I
I've
have it
got
up.
right
Okay.
I have to be.
Yeah.
Sarah, it's the first, search by Sarah will be the top one from her.
Okay. So, since you guys are aware, obviously, we had our yearly academic data presentation yesterday, last board meeting, and we have noticed some significant concerns that have to be responded to. So we had been talking about last January's board meeting about starting to put together resources and topics relating to this, which prompted that email to the state that I included. So one of the things that I looked at was, first of all the research that talks about developmental needs. We know that 6th graders are 11, turning 12 towards the end of the year. And if you look at all of the brain and cognitive development, as early back as John Piaget, which we all learn about in school, we know that when they're in that 7 to 11 category, they are in that concrete operational stage. Whereas 12 to adulthood, it's formal operational stage. And there is a huge difference between those two age groups. So we know that when they go, you're in a building with 6 through 12 graders. Just last week, I was in here for quite a while, and I heard 6th graders talking about a sex act. And when I approached them and started talking about it, they had no idea what it was. I mean, none. They heard it. So that's just one example I can give you, many, because we're talking about kids who are 11 years old with grown adults, So that is one of the things, but then also piggybacking off of that, we know that our 6th grade data, our data is very, needs a lot of work. And we know that there's been a ton of yearly training that has went into what's professional development at the elementary level, as evidenced by almost #1s in the county across the board. So then when you compare the largest school district in the state who uses a K-6 model, you see that their 6th grade data is better than 6th grade data that is not part of a K-6 building. And then when I compared 54 of those elementary schools from that district to our elementary beat their data in every single category except 3rd grade math, and they were only off a few points. So then, which leads me to deduce that if we are outperforming that school 3 through 5, but they're outperforming us in 6th, our students would likely do better. Additionally, our enrollment here in this building has declined yearly for 10 years, minus 2 years where they were up to. I appreciate that the count was only one number off, but we've lost a significant number of students, and we will see in our spring account, unless we get a lot of kids from our school of choice opening in January, we're actually at 400 now, so that's going to be down, not down 1 from what the A1 budget is. So anyhow, all of these things are going into it. And then we started thinking about ways we've talked for years in this board about the transition from 5th grade to 6th grade and how it's a very big struggle. So then we started thinking and researching ways. So like one of the things we talked about was getting lockers on just the 6th grader, locks on just the 6th grader's locker. Having them operate like an actual time where they leave the classrooms. I was talking to a teacher over here, and this particular teacher said that the biggest struggle too is that there needs to be more not babying at that 6th grade level. So for example, right now, our 5th graders still walk through the halls with a 0 sign up. And they go to their lockers after one class to get the next thing, and then they line up in a row. So I thought it was, and he said when they come here, it is like crazy.
Anything goes.
Yeah,
Like,
anything goes.
right,
Yeah.
but well, in their mind, they're like, woo, because they don't have to be at a 0 and there's nobody walking them. And anyway, I thought that was very valuable feedback. So then one of the things that I discussed with Susan and Jesse was like, I really think that this is an opportunity to have like, I don't know if you remember, Nancy, or my 5th grade classroom used to be like that whole section, 6th grade, with the doors almost, because they have the doors right there, closed, and then have it literally run like, they have 5 minutes to go to the bathroom, to get their stuff out of their locker, to open their locker, to get to their next class. So it's almost like that in a comfortable place where they're used to, and you know, it's like that familiar, but then an unfamiliar added. So I don't know. These are some of the things we are talking about, because we know right now we've got to do something. Our data, our enrollment, we've got to do something. So thoughts?
I like the idea of transitioning them at the elementary, where they are comfortable. One thing that comes to mind is, you know, moving up to 6th grade is kind of fun and exciting, but I think you can incorporate that excitement by having just 5th and 6th grade dances, like you kind of talked about in here. But how does that help the students at this building? Like, I understand it would be helping the current 6th graders, well, the 6th graders that year, that we start this next year.
Are you talking about the data?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so that is literally what Jesse has been working on.
Okay.
He is, every single thing that he is doing is in response to the data to try to get these kids a chance to not be performing at the 20th percentile when compared to the state. So.
Okay.
But are you more asking, like, if we go and do this, there's still going to be the transition from 6th then over here to 7th?
No, I feel like it's just compartmentalized at that point. There's just one grade that's benefiting at that point, while all the rest still,
well,
we still have this situation happening over here.
So in other words, developmentally, there is a big difference,
I agree.
You know, between 6th grade and 7th grade, where the abstract is starting to become more developed at 7th grade. I mean, the structure of you know, presenting lessons like in a 30 or 40 minute discussion. I mean, they're used to going in workshop groups every single day with individualized instruction at every single level, with, you know, tried and proven research-based instructional practices. And their brains are not, like, I'm an adult, I can sit in a college level class and I can sit there and listen to somebody for 45 minutes, 50 minutes taking notes and then responding. That's not developmentally where a 6th grader is. So I think they're getting more to that point in 7th grade. And I know that Mr. Zitkowski has RISA coming out for instructional practices. Did you talk about that? Why don't you talk about that? Because those are 100% geared towards the secondary level, which secondary certifications are 712.
Okay.
So we have 2 teachers that are going to the building. Sorry, I'm getting over an illness. To the building thinking classroom workshop and training, and then Minna Terrell is going to come out and continue to support the implementation with them, but then also looking at the whole math program and how can we implement that building-wide as well.
Okay.
So there's just going to be super intense, super intentional. We cannot ignore this data. We all saw the presentation.
Well, we're going to lose students. I mean, they're just not going to want to, I mean, school of choice is going to get down to like.
Yep.
So if we move 6th graders over there, what is that going to do to the workload over here for the current staff?
Well, there's going to have to be some, you know, I would assume Izzy's suggestion, which was incredible. Here we have a student saying, we don't know, we don't have prep for SAT. Can we do something? So again, this is a perfect opportunity to have SAT prep classes as electives.
Yes. Okay.
So there's, you know, that can be worked into the schedule. Again, you heard it from her last month. There's an interest. they don't know how, they don't know how to take an SAT if they've not done it. You've done one PSAT, and then the practice ones that I think you guys just did when, like last month maybe. I mean, that's not enough to help, you know?
Yeah.
So these are things that are gonna be intentionally worked in, and then it could alleviate that because you will have staff available to have those classes if it frees up.
Sure.
Mhm.
Will we take staff from here?
So I don't even, at this point, we need to see what, I've gotten a couple, intels of a few people who are considering retiring. So it's so early to speculate, and it would honestly be irresponsible. At this point in time, it would just be like crazy for me to even speculate about that, only because you have 3 retirements, and then,
Yeah.
you know.
If it stayed exactly the same as it was and no one retired and no one left away, then yeah, somebody from here would probably have to go over there. But the likelihood of that happening
Yeah,
is slim to none.
Slim to none based on what we see every year.
Well, and you have an upcoming, the next 4 to 7 years, you're probably going to lose 8, I think, 8 or 9 of your instructional
They're all
staff.
up.
I mean,
Because
these
they
are
were
all
all
many
hired
that
in
are,
the same 2 or 3
So
years.
for tonight, did you just, are you
I
looking
just
for
wanted
a
to open the
decision, or
dialogue.
you just
No,
wanted?
I just
Okay.
wanted the dialogue. I reached out to the MDE. They did not say a board resolution was required, but I just want to know what your feedback is. I know we started a, what are your questions for staff? And then a Google Doc, and then there's going to be a what are your questions for families, students. 5th graders this year will have camp, and then they would have it again as 6th graders. We would run, and Nancy remembers, when I was a teacher, the youth group used to put on some killer dances. The kids would love those. So we want to bring those back, but just for 5th, and so it would be really a rite of passage,
And the student council at our building was excited for the opportunity to maybe put on some dances. They were excited.
The reps,
Yeah.
the studio, okay.
No, the advisors,
The sponsors,
the adults
yeah.
who run it, yeah.
Sarah, how would it go to, okay, if you're going to run on hour basis over there like you do here?
We would do block schedule. Because
You're still doing it the same way. I get what I was saying is to put them into hours would probably be detrimental.
for sure,
As
we know we need,
compared
and that's
to-
the other thing, Leslie, I forgot to talk about, piggybacking on what Nancy's saying. We know at the 6th grade level, at the 11th-year-old level, they need solid, minimum 90 minutes of reading instruction every single day. I mean intense reading instruction. And we would do a block schedule where it would be like a 90-minute, which is, no, go ahead.
Very similarly to how we're doing 4th and 5th grade now.
Right, but
They
now
would
you've
have-
got
it would be
6th
5th
grade
and
coming
6th
in.
graders, and we would run that same. Right now, they have 90 minutes. I think it's actually over that for ER.
Would 4th go back to a self-contained room?
We're having some discussions about that. Obviously, it's really early. Potentially, we would probably see a lightened block schedule, so we can kind of start getting them ready to move. Maybe one teacher would teach the 4th grade ELA, and another would teach math, science, and social studies, so that we can
Like
keep
we
that
used to.
big chunk, like Sarah Davies.
Because there's only 2 classes, so it'd be.
Yeah, they would just switch with the 2, instead of the 3.
Yeah, Dave and I used to do that. And then it would almost be like a little bit, that would also be a progression. So that would even be
Yeah, a feeder.
feeder to the 5th who operates like, and then the 6th who literally runs through the day, but in a block setting with locker comms. Because that's always, when I talk to kids, that's what they're most afraid of, is the lockers.
How many empty classrooms are in the elementary?
There's 2 right at the end of the 4th and 5th grade hallway.
Do you mean total?
Yeah.
Do you have room in the building for?
Yeah.
No, you have more than 2 empty classrooms.
2 on that wing of the
Are there
building.
6 rooms plus a band room in that hallway?
There is,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
and then the
yeah.
small parent club room.
So if it ever went back to 3 and 3,
Mm-hmm.
you would still have enough to run it the way you want to with 6.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the parent club room, and then, so I think there's 5. I would have to pull up the map here.
Do you have any large
Well, you
upcoming
have to
classes
shoot
where
her.
by
No,
the
we have 2
time,
at each.
so even by the time the larger classes get up to?
But I don't even know that that's even pending right now because
Okay.
our K has 63, but a lot of them are DK. Does that make sense? So most of the 2 sections each have 25. right about 25 kids. So there's even the 2Ks, 25, 25, and then the DK makes up like 13.
And our decrease in students is pretty much the same as all area students, correct, too? I mean, as far as population has gone way down, so
Except
all schools are.
we have a trend now where we're increasing every year at the elementary.
But I guess, right, yeah. Well, see, but that's scary then, because you
But
get
we
up
lose
into,
them.
After 4th or 5th grade.
but you're down to 2 classes. You don't want to create a situation where we have to add classrooms to the elementary
Oh,
school.
no, yeah.
And if you're down to 2 classes at every level, but you're sitting right around 52 or 54, it doesn't make.
But we also have, like, for example, and I'm speaking because I taught in that building for forever, our speech path has a full-size classroom.
Okay.
Like all of those, there's so many of that. There's like, each special ed teacher has a full-size classroom, where that was, Amy did not, you know, she had like, yeah.
There's 6 classrooms in that hallway, not including the MEPC
Yeah,
room,
right.
which the MEPC room could be converted into a smaller special education or resource room. It's just, they're using it because they have it. In that, just in that upper L hallway.
Would students be able to have everyday band in 6th grade?
Yeah, and 2 electives, just like they do. So right now, the 6th graders have 2 electives.
Yeah.
So they would still have 2 electives.
And you get in the 90-minute times?
As far as sports go.
Not in one day, Nancy, 2 electives over the course of, so it would be, they wouldn't have 2 electives and band in one day over the course of the time, but they would actually
No,
still.
one elective and band.
In a day, yes.
Yes.
So as far as sports go, Carter, you might know the answer to this. Junior high sports are technically 7th and 8th grade, right?
Depends on the sport.
It depends on the
Oh,
sport.
it depends on the sport. So what would there be a sports advantage if the students were still at the elementary to, what am I trying to say here?
Are you asking, we're gonna let them do the exact same sports that they do now.
Okay.
The only sport our insurance carrier and our attorneys have told us no to is
Right.
full contact, 6th graders playing in 7th and 8th, which would be football.
Right, so that's my question. Would they still be able to play with, is there a team for 5th grade football?
Well, they do that, it depends on their birthday.
Oh, I see. Okay, so they would fall under that category then. It's not like they're just going to be left in limbo. It's what I was
Currently, that's the same
asking.
as it is right now.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
in
we all
sixth
the
grade.
same.
Yep.
Okay.
Are we doing any parent surveys?
We were gonna have a Q&A, and then we were gonna have multiple questions, like
Like coffee with the.
coffees, or
Yeah,
like
you
Zooms.
put it in there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can do a survey, but, you know, I really want to, I'm happy to do that, but I really want to focus on educating first. I really need to focus on providing, you know, the why. I mean, this is not a me decision. This is a response to data to serve kids in the best manner that's good for kids. I can't sleep at night seeing the data that I saw and not trying everything I can to try to help them.
I don't know how after seeing the data, we could stay the same course.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
We cannot
can't.
stay the same course. After seeing the data,
No.
there has to be an overhaul somewhere. I think this is a fantastic idea.
I think it's a great starting
Personally,
point, yeah.
My other one too
1000%.
is, which are the COVID groups right now?
They're in 5th grade this year. They were our COVID kindergartners.
Okay. Are in 5th grade
5th
right
grade are
now?
COVID kindergartners.
And so they would have been kind of the 6th graders too, so that gap
They would
was
have been first
closed.
graders.
I mean, but that gap would have been closed then at that point.
What do you mean, gap with them?
You know, the learning gaps, I mean, when they
Oh,
did as
hopefully,
well
yeah.
as they did
Hopefully.
on the test.
Yep.
I mean, that, so I was thinking with 7th and 8th, the COVID group, and it's not.
Right.
Okay. No, I think that it's a great start. We're still going to learn everything we never wanted our children to know on the school bus because we still have K-12.
Yeah.
But transition to 7th, as long as the teaching over
what I wanna
here in
focus.
7th and 8th grade changes, so that when they come over here ready, it's still not a, 7th and 8th isn't ready for stand in front and give 45 minutes and tell them, you know, that's.
It gives the students an extra year to own their learning as well. Like they get an extra year to practice their skills and own it and become more independent and worry about those things that they're still learning.
It's still so foundational at that
Right.
How many schools in the county do K-6? I know that I had asked you that one. Are there any?
I do not know of any in St. Clair.
I know that Richmond recently moved 4th and 5th grade to their
It's a 4th through 8th.
Yeah, but they have a wing for, like 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
Algonac restructured their entire
Algonac has a
district.
K2 building and a 3-6 building.
Yep.
But that's a 3-6.
Yep.
And then Albany did it. Yale, we don't know.
No, I heard they're still K-5. But they have a middle school.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, they do for juniors.
So they have a,
So the kids aren't with the high
right.
school?
Yeah.
Oh, they have an individual middle school. They have
Yeah,
to go
junior
to-
high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marysville does too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think you still have to go for
Yeah, we'll just start the educating piece and go from there and hold as many Q&A sessions as we need, Google Doc Q&A, informational sessions, and then we'll put out a survey. Just so important to get the information out.
Do you think this is something that's able to start next year?
I do,
I would hope so.
absolutely. That's why we're starting so soon.
Definitely.
Because we started talking about it last January, So we were kind of waiting to see how things looked, and it's just,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is that the state is requiring a lot more of the students on those testings. The testings aren't the same tests that they had 10 years ago, and we need to change with the times. And that's, in the best benefit of all students, we need to make sure we're providing them with what they need.
Yeah, agreed.
Is there anything that, they're like, I know bookworms and everything over the elementary, over the past many years I've been on the board, I've known you guys have done so much stuff. Send teachers to so many conferences and learn this and learn that, come back and teach. Are we getting that here, or is there something we can start looking into here? I know you talked about math fast, right? And you guys are doing the fluency.
Number talks, right?
Number talks, I'm sorry, that's it. Yeah, like,
I
are
think
we?
that's maybe
That's
what Laura.
building in classrooms
Okay.
is that next step.
Okay.
Bringing that in, having 2 teachers get trained, certified in that, and then be able to then,
Teach it with other teachers.
and then implement it and have that support for Lisa here too.
Susan, I know a lot of the upper L over there use the parking lot structure for exit testing. Are they doing that at all in the junior high? Where you have a lesson and at the end the teacher gives one problem, they put it on a Post-it and they put it on the board on the way out. The kids that get it correct have possibly just morning work on their desk when they come into class or bell work, and then the teacher pulls those 5 or 6 that might not have got it right and works with them before they go on the next day.
I would say the structure like that is happening, but what I would say is there is bell work that is happening here when students are walking into the classroom. A quick review, whether it's the prior knowledge from the last lesson that's connected to this lesson, or introducing what do you know about this, and then the teaching is beginning to give the students, say, this is what we move forward to.
But I think that the difference of what I'm talking about was here was your lesson, did you understand it? If not, you go back before you begin anything new.
So you're saying instead of a bell work, because the kids who got it, they
The
do
kids
their
that got it do their
Yeah.
bell work, the
And
kids
then the
that
other kids
didn't
are
get
in a
it
small
have
group.
re-instruction on the previous day with one-on-one the teacher, so it might only be the first 10 minutes of class.
Right.
But it more directs individual focus so that you're not teaching additional when we haven't got the basic.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know.
That's a very good
They do
idea.
it in most of the classes across the street, that's all I know.
Mhm. Yeah.
And how many people from RESA did you say were coming in? Just,
It's just Terrell right now.
okay.
They only have one consultant for each subject in each 6, 12, K5.
And Laura's helping over here too?
She only does
She only
K5.
does K-5.
For K6.
And so do
Every
we
summer.
have an option to get an instructional coach or two over here, like a Mrs. Gifford?
Yeah.
We do use title funds for Gimbert, so, and they
Okay.
don't have any title funds here, so. But I do think that, they incorporated Gimbert after several years of
Yeah.
high intensity, high every single day, like training, and then Gimbert was the expert on it, and then we put her in as the coach. So
Okay.
we would need to have someone that's done, I mean, the whole staff really, like what do we want to focus on? And then if there's an expert that leads, we could use 31A money, which I would not be opposed to, but just,
You have to build the capacity.
you have to build the
Yeah.
capacity or it's just not going to work.
Yeah, I think this is, don't get me wrong, I think this is a great starting point.
Yeah.
But aside from the STING class review, I feel like, are those the only two changes? Is that where we're at so far? Because if we're making a change to the current 5th graders, because they're gonna be a 6th grader next year, so they would stay over there tentatively. But then what happens to the current junior high students that are here now?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them to be
they're just
forgotten.
gonna,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't use the word forgotten.
I know, I didn't know where to use.
You know, but what are we doing for them?
That's an excellent question.
Well, it's going to have to be a change in everyday instruction
Sure.
from now
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I mean, and we still have over half the school year. I mean, it's not like this
It's
year is
November.
done. It's not. But I think that.
And I know Jess is working so hard trying to infuse these. I mean, everything he does is relating to data. Every single thing. And when you talk about a practice that is not usually typically well received in the beginning, I mean, he is busting his butt trying to get that point across.
Well, and at some point, we have to figure out how to get the ownership of your staff into whether it's school improvement meetings or setting up the goals to make and to achieve, and are we going to keep one math teacher for both levels instead of then 8th grade and one, and then they switch around, and see what they're going to do at that point. But there has to be some staff ownership and staff suggestions of ways to solve the problem, because I think that's where the big change came in the elementary, is when the teachers took ownership of the school improvement plan, and they came up with the ideas of what to do. Here's the problem, here's the data, what do you want to do? If you don't make the suggestions, I will.
Yeah, well, and what practices? Because we can't just say the changes we're going to make are make the kids want to take the test.
Well, they have to be by best
It has to be a practice.
The kids are the kids across,
Right.
the same kids, 7th grader here is the same 7th grader attitude you get at Richmond and Armada.
Yeah.
Kids are kids regardless of the board. That's not an excuse.
They don't want to know vegetables or
That's not an
anything else.
excuse. Kids are kids.
Vegetables in the meat.
But I feel like you can't use that excuse when you have over half your grade on a roll and sit there and say, oh, half the grade can make A's and B's, but they don't care enough to take the test. I think that's not a good excuse, personally.
Yeah,
But
that's a good point. Yeah.
if half of them on an honor roll, if they care enough to get A's and B's, they're going to care enough to take a test.
Right.
But kids are kids, across the board. So obviously something's being done right at other districts that they're scoring better.
I think we pretty much have a blessing to continue.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I think that we need to involve the parents in the community
Yeah.
sooner rather than later, because I don't think
No, we're
we
gonna
want it
start-
to be a
start it out
gotcha
tomorrow.
surprise, because you could lose a lot of students if they
Oh,
don't
gotcha.
understand why.
And after the education piece goes out, and there's been Q&As attended, and I'm able to personally meet with people and talk to them and get their feelings and concerns, because oftentimes it's just, I have this concern, but then I don't know, you know what I mean? We will absolutely do a survey, but it's just super important to front load everything. So
Do you think you'll have a meeting specifically with the current 5th grade
there's going to be
parents?
multiple meetings.
Well, yeah,
but yes.
Yeah, okay. Because they would be the first group.
Very good. Superintendent comments?
Did anybody have, I'm super excited about our board planning, the first thing, our bonds, not board.
That was
this.
absolutely spectacular what you wrote in the weekly
Yeah.
thing, what we can accomplish. It was
Right?
like,
Yeah.
wow, I was just blown
Thank
over
you.
of what
Thank
we
you
can
for that.
accomplish with that.
Right,
you know.
and so there's going to be, I told Daryl I wanted a hard hat and a vest because I'm going to be right next to his workers, and he started laughing. I said, I'm not joking, Daryl. So that's in a video.
Don't paint daisies on it, because
So, no, I want the regular color.
Yeah.
So, we are going to just keep the community updated the
Nice.
whole step of the way.
That's fantastic.
And I mean, we're going to do mailings, community mailings too, and then in addition to the calendar, because
Do we have a current, floor plan layout of?
they just got the CAD files.
Okay,
From the last one. We got them from French Associates, so.
okay.
Partners in Architects now have the CAD files, and they said their life is about to get exponentially easier because they were really recreating every single thing.
Okay. So there will be a visual that we can
Absolutely.
share pretty soon.
Like models.
it will usually take them, didn't they tell you, about a month, about 30 days?
They actually didn't give me a time frame for the models.
It's usually about 30 to
Oh, an
45
actual model?
days.
They've done that before, right?
Digital.
Yeah, digital.
Oh, digital, yeah,
Uh-huh.
okay.
And then we have weekly meetings, so with architectures and Art Mallow, and I think Adam, we're meeting with RJ Naughton soon, aren't we? I can't remember.
No, that's not until February.
Okay, never mind. Those are the people who sell bonds. So anyhow, they're prioritizing, and I agree, health and safety first, so.
And then just reading that article that you sent also, and just showing how many other schools did not have a successful, run on theirs, and it was just something.
There's a big article in the Times Herald about that and all the reasons why and whatever, and that's, when added to that, it just shows that if you spend your money well and you do what you say you're gonna do, then you develop the trust.
Yeah.
And that's what we've always done, so I think that's what they're.
And I just want to keep that going, because I don't want to be even remotely speculating to make not cut process.
Right.
So, any questions about that?
Right, everything else good? And then, I think that just at the end of it, that, that the write-ups for the files and all of the discipline comes from your administration. This has nothing to do with the board. You've heard the concerns, and possibly if you can look back, and if police reports weren't, maybe it's in the report or whatever like that, it might be able to be. But if you feel that's what it should be, then that's what it is. But usually if someone comes to a meeting and makes a statement, then it's followed up either by Jesse or, after review, hearing your concerns. But it's all at the administrative level, really, not the board level on this. So, but if you could, hearing their concerns, if you could look at the writing and the words to see if there's anything we can or should do.
Yep.
Go from there.
I'll have Jesse do that.
All right.
Motion for closed
I
session.
move to adjourn the meeting at 7:51 PM.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It's